A rainy day and disappearance. Tom and Sarah, a young married couple, lived happily in their wooden house on the outskirts of Portland. They had been married for 3 years, and their life had always been peaceful until one rainy autumn day. That morning, Sarah left the house to go to the market. But when Tom woke up in the afternoon, she hadn't returned. Searching around the house, Tom found no signs of anything unusual, but all of Sarah's belongings remained intact.
So you see,
A mysterious warning. Tom began to worry and called everyone in the neighborhood, but no one had seen Sarah after she left the house. His unease grew when he found a small note on their dining table. It was a note from Sarah, with just one sentence: "We shouldn't go into the forest today." Tom felt something strange and decided to head to the nearby forest to search for his wife. The mysterious forest. As Tom entered the forest, the atmosphere became heavy and eerie. The tall trees covered the sky, blocking any sunlight from getting through. Tom walked deeper into the forest, but saw no signs of Sarah. A strange feeling gradually overtook him as he sensed eyes watching him from every direction. He decided to turn back. But now, the forest no longer seemed like the familiar place it once was. Unexplained signs. When Tom turned around, he discovered a strange mark on the ground, a series of small footprints, identical to Sarah's shoes, led deeper into the forest. However, as he followed them, the marks suddenly disappeared at the base of an ancient tree. There were no further signs. Tom stood frozen, feeling as though someone was playing a cruel joke on him. A strange encounter. As Tom stood still, an elderly man appeared from the darkness of the forest. He wore a tattered coat, had gray hair, and his eyes were strange, as if he had lived in the forest for years. "You're looking for your wife, aren't you?" the man asked. Tom nodded, sensing that something was wrong. "Be careful," the man warned. "This forest has a power you cannot understand." The warning and decision. Tom felt bewildered, but he decided to continue searching. However, before the man disappeared into the darkness, he added, "If you want to find your wife, let the forest be. Don't challenge it." Tom didn't know what to do, but those words sounded like a clear warning. He had no choice but to continue the search. The truth unveiled. Tom continued to venture deeper into the forest, following the strange clues he had found. Suddenly, he came across an abandoned house, hidden behind thick shrubs. The old wooden door creaked as Tom opened it. Inside, old paintings and strange objects appeared, along with an ancient map showing a location where Sarah might have gone. A new discovery on the map. There was a spot marked with a red dot. Tom realized that it pointed to an area of the forest he had never seen before. His heart raced as he realized that this was where Sarah had disappeared. He was determined to go there, not knowing what he would find. Heading to the marked area, Tom followed the map, venturing into a deep part of the forest he had never explored. The trees here were dense, and the darkness enveloped everything, making the surroundings eerily silent and unsettling. The deeper he went, the more he felt a strange force surrounding him, as if something was watching him from afar. The ancient door. When Tom reached the end of the path, he discovered a stone door, lying dormant under the dense canopy. The door looked like a gateway to another world, with strange patterns carved into its surface. Tom felt a strong compulsion to open it, even though he didn't know what awaited him beyond. The door opens. Tom couldn't resist the curiosity. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. The moment he crossed the threshold, everything around him changed instantly. All the sounds of the surrounding forest seemed to vanish. Tom stepped into a completely different space, where dim light enveloped everything, and shadowy figures appeared around him. Shadowy figures. In this strange space, Tom saw shadowy figures floating in the air. Each figure appeared familiar, but lacked clarity. One of them had the shape of Sarah. Tom's heart raced as he realized that this was an image of his wife. But the strange part was that she couldn't see him. Voice from the shadows, Tom called out to Sarah, but she didn't respond. He moved closer to her, but with each step, Sarah's figure slowly faded, as if she was drifting into another world. Suddenly, a voice echoed from the shadowy space, saying, "She has chosen to stay here. You cannot save her." Sacrifice and choice. Tom felt his heart shatter. He realized that Sarah could not return, that she had chosen to sacrifice herself to protect him and others. The voice's words made him understand that to save Sarah, he would have to face the truth and accept that some things in life could not be changed. The final decision. Tom stood in the darkness, a feeling of loss and pain overwhelming him. He understood that he could not save Sarah from this world. She had chosen to sacrifice herself and stay. But she had also left him a message that he needed to understand. Tom knew that if he wanted to save himself and move forward in life, he had to accept the truth and let Sarah go. Sarah's words. That moment, Tom heard a voice echoing in his mind. It was Sarah's voice. "Tom, I chose this path because we can't live in fear forever. Remember, my love for you will never change, no matter where I am." Sarah's words made Tom feel as though a weight had been lifted, but he also knew he had to accept the truth and move forward. Decision from the mist. Tom stepped outside, where the mist slowly began to clear. He felt a shift in the air, as if everything had returned to calm. She was gone, but her words remained in his heart. He knew that life would go on, and even though Sarah was no longer by his side, he had to live for the memories and love she had left behind. Moving forward. After facing the pain and loss, Tom decided to return to his life. He couldn't forget Sarah, but he knew he had to move on. He cleaned up the house, closed the doors to the past, and started planning for the future. The memories of Sarah would live on in his heart, but now he was ready to continue his journey. Rebirth. As time passed, Tom began to feel a change in his life. Even though Sarah was no longer by his side, he realized that she was still with him in every decision he made. He started engaging in activities he never thought he would, like walking in the park, joining yoga classes, and slowly rebuilding his life. Acceptance and moving toward the future. Finally, Tom stood on a hilltop, looking at the distant horizon. He understood that life would never be perfect, but every moment in it was worth cherishing. Sarah had given him great lessons about love, sacrifice, and acceptance. And though she was no longer by his side, he would live for what she had left behind and for himself. Discovering a new world, Tom began to understand that Sarah's sacrifice was not just a loss, but part of a much larger story that he had never understood. He realized that in life, some things happen not just because we want them to, but because of the choices we must face. One night, while sitting alone in the living room, Tom received a strange letter from an unfamiliar address. His heart raced as he read the lines, "The truth lies in your past. Find it before it's too late." The final pieces. Tom felt a strong urge to uncover the truth behind the letter. He began going through all the memories of Sarah, and in the process, he found an old photograph of them in a box. The photo showed a house that Tom couldn't remember, but there was a vague recollection of a story Sarah had once mentioned. He decided to go there, hoping to find the final pieces of the story. The abandoned house. Tom found the house from the photograph, located in a remote area far from the city. When he arrived, the house seemed to have been abandoned for years, with weeds growing around the walls and broken windows. He felt a strange presence, as if the house wasn't just a place, but a part of a secret buried in the past. Discovery behind the wall inside the abandoned house. Tom found a wall covered by thick dust. When he touched it, a part of the wall opened, revealing a small locked room. Inside, old items and piles of crumpled papers filled the space. Tom began to search through them, and in an old box, he found a diary. Sarah's diary. As Tom read the diary, he discovered strange details about Sarah he had never known. The diary's pages revealed that Sarah had known this would happen, that she had discovered a mysterious force in the forest where they lived. She had experimented with these strange forces to understand them and had received warnings from unseen forces. The prophecy at the end of the diary. Sarah wrote a prophecy about an event she believed would happen. Tom, if I cannot return, find the source of power in the forest. That is the only way to free us. Tom felt his heart heavy. He couldn't believe what he had just read. But that prophecy was the key to solving everything. The final search. Tom decided to return to the forest where Sarah had disappeared. He believed that the prophecy in the diary was the key to solving the mystery. When he arrived, everything felt different. The shadows of the trees, the sounds of the wind, and the eerie atmosphere made him feel like he was walking into an unexplainable space. He moved toward the area marked on the map and felt a strange force surrounding him. The final source of power. When he reached the marked area, Tom discovered an ancient temple covered in thick tree roots. He stepped inside and saw a stone table with a glowing stone on it. As soon as Tom placed his hand on the stone, a powerful light surrounded him, and Sarah's voice echoed in his mind. "You did right. Finally. We are free." The final release. As the light from the stone slowly faded, Tom stood in the forest, feeling a profound peace. Sarah was no longer there, but Tom knew she had been freed, and they had both found peace in their hearts. Finally, Tom returned home, ready to live a new life with the lessons from the past. The mysterious disappearance. Liana and Ethan, a young married couple, lived in a house on the outskirts of Denver, Colorado. They had been married for 2 years and enjoyed a peaceful life. However, one rainy night, Liana suddenly disappeared. Ethan woke up the next morning and couldn't find his wife anywhere in the house. All of Liana's belongings, including her phone, were nowhere to be found. Useless search. Ethan started calling and searching everywhere in the neighborhood. He asked the neighbors, but no one knew anything about Liana's disappearance. His sense of hopelessness grew as he realized that there were no signs of his wife leaving the house voluntarily. All the windows were still shut, and the front door was locked. A mysterious note while searching the house. Ethan discovered a small note on Liana's desk. It read, "Don't search for me. Leave everything alone." Ethan felt a chill run through him as he read these words. It felt like a warning, but from whom he couldn't make sense of it, and decided to continue searching, despite the note. The strange forest determined not to give up. Ethan drove out to a nearby forest where Liana often went for walks in the mornings. When he arrived, the forest felt strangely eerie. Everything was silent, with no sounds of birds or animals. He began walking through the woods, and then, among the dense trees, he discovered a strange mark on the ground, resembling Liana's footprints. A shadowy figure following the footprints. The deeper Ethan went into the forest, the more his anxiety grew. Suddenly, he saw a shadowy figure glide between the trees. His heart raced as he thought it might be Liana. He chased after the figure, but when he reached the spot, there was no one there. All he found was an old, shattered mirror lying on the ground. An old mirror. Ethan picked up the mirror and realized that it had a strange symbol carved into it, resembling a door surrounded by unexplainable drawings. Suddenly, a voice echoed from within the space, warning him that he had gone too far. "Don't open that door." "Ethan," the voice said. Ethan turned around, but saw no one. Meeting the stranger. As Ethan turned around, he encountered an elderly woman with bright eyes full of understanding. She introduced herself as Marie, someone who had lived in the forest for many years. "You're looking for your wife, aren't you?" she asked. "The door you're chasing is not just a passage. It's another world." The secret behind the door. Marie told Ethan about an ancient door in the forest, one that people in the area called the Door of Time. Anyone who dared to step through it would be pulled into another world, where time passed in a way that no one could comprehend. Sarah was pulled into it. Marie said, "And now you must do something to save her." The final choice. Ethan stood before the door, feeling the strange force emanating from within. He could sense Sarah's presence, but he also knew that to save her, he would have to face a great sacrifice. With a heart full of resolve, he stepped through the door, ready to face the other world and reclaim his wife. A strange new world. As soon as Ethan stepped through the door, the surroundings around him changed instantly. He was no longer in the forest, but surrounded by a strange landscape where the sky was a pale purple, and floating clouds drifted aimlessly, unlike anything he had ever seen. The ground beneath his feet was a thin layer of stone, and he could hear an echo with each step he took. It felt as though he had entered another world, a place where anything could happen. Strange shapes. As Ethan moved forward, he saw shadowy figures glide through the space, resembling people or strange creatures. Some of them stared at him, but said nothing. A feeling of unease crept over him, but he kept moving forward, knowing he had to find Liana. The strange calling in the silence of the space. Ethan heard his name being called, Ethan. The voice echoed from afar. Strange, yet somehow familiar. He couldn't be sure if it was Liana, but it made him feel like someone was guiding him. Ethan started following the voice, hoping it would lead him to where Liana was. Stepping through the second door as Ethan continued to follow the voice, he approached a large door made of shiny metal. There was no handle, but the door opened as he got closer. Inside, he saw Liana, but she wasn't the same. She stood silently, her eyes clouded, not seeing him. Liana's strange transformation. Ethan called out to Liana, but she didn't respond. He moved closer and placed his hand on her shoulder, but immediately, a strong surge of energy coursed through his body. The door slammed shut behind him, and a voice echoed in the space. "She cannot return anymore, Ethan." A sense of despair overtook him. "The rules of this world," the voice continued, explaining that this world was where lost souls were kept, and no one could leave without facing a difficult choice. "You must choose, stay here with her forever, or return to your world without her," the voice said. Ethan didn't know what to do, but he knew he couldn't leave Liana behind again. Facing the choice. Ethan stood there, his heart pounding. He loved Liana and couldn't imagine a life without her. However, he understood that if he stayed, he would also become part of this world, never able to return. After a long moment of contemplation, Ethan finally decided. Accepting the decision, Ethan decided to return to his world, though his heart was heavy. He couldn't keep Liana there. But he knew that she had been freed from this world, and that was what she needed. As he stepped out of that space, Liana looked at him with a gentle smile, as if she had finally found peace. The final release. Son. Ethan stepped back into his world. The door closed behind him. He no longer saw Liana, but he felt that she had been freed and was no longer bound by this world. Ethan returned home, carrying with him the memories of her and the lessons he had learned. The day after the return, as Ethan returned to normal life, he felt as though a part of him had changed forever. The pain of losing Liana slowly faded, but he could never forget what he had been through. He gazed out the window, where the sun was rising brightly, and felt a strange sense of peace within. Though Liana was gone, he knew that she had found the freedom she truly deserved. Questions about the past. Even though Ethan felt more at peace, one question still haunted him. Why had Liana been drawn into that world? And had she known that this would happen, he decided to search for more information about the old house, the traces of the world he had stepped into, to understand more about the mysteries Sarah had kept hidden. A new journey with determination to uncover the truth. Ethan decided to return to the forest once again. This time, he was not just searching to save Liana, but to uncover what had happened to her and everything she had gone through. Despite his fear, he felt a powerful urge to face the unanswered questions. Returning to the old house, Ethan returned to the old house where he had found the mirror and Sarah's diary. This time, he was determined to uncover everything the house still concealed. He found a hidden door behind a crumbling wall. Under the light of his flashlight, he could clearly see ancient symbols carved into the door. These symbols weren't like any language he had ever known. Sarah's reason when he opened the door. Ethan entered a room full of ancient paintings and strange objects. A large painting hung on the wall, depicting a strange scene. A man standing next to a door just like the one Ethan had passed through. The painting had a line written on it: one door, one choice, and one soul. Ethan felt as though everything was starting to make sense, but he also knew that many questions still remained unanswered. Sacrifice and the final choice before the painting. Ethan sat down and thought about everything that had happened. He realized that not just Liana, but many other souls had been drawn into this strange world. The door was a symbol of sacrifice, and everyone had to face a choice between staying in this world or returning to their old life. Ethan knew that he had found the answer, and now it was time for him to leave this place, carrying the memories and love he had for Liana. The final choice. Standing before the strange painting in the old room, Ethan understood that the door he had passed through wasn't just an exit, but a symbol of a great decision. He had to choose: stay with Liana, becoming part of this strange world, or return to his own world without her by his side. Liana was gone, but she still lived in his heart. He couldn't keep her, but he could hold on to the memories. The final words. In that moment, a voice echoed in the space, as if answering Ethan's thoughts. This door will always remain open if you choose to return. Ethan turned around and saw Liana standing behind him, smiling gently. She said, "I am here, and I will always be in your heart." These words made him feel at ease. He no longer felt the weight he once did. The final decision. With a heart full of peace and resolve, Ethan decided to return. The door opened, and he stepped through for the last time. As he turned back to his world, the forest slowly faded away, and the sunlight illuminated the space around him. He knew he had made the right choice. Liana would always be in his heart. But now, he could live his life, holding on to the beautiful memories of her. A new life. Ethan returned home, feeling much lighter than when he had entered that strange world. His life no longer had Liana, but he knew she would forever remain in his heart. He began to rebuild everything, finding peace and accepting the truth. He understood that even though he had lost someone important, life still went on, and he had to live for his memories. A sense of peace day by day. Ethan began to rediscover the feeling of peace in his life. Though Liana was no longer with him, he realized that the love and memories she had left behind would always live within him. He no longer felt lonely because he knew that she had found her freedom, and he had done the same for himself. Closing a new chapter as Ethan looked out the window, he realized that his life continued, and he was ready to face new challenges. He had overcome the pain of loss and found peace in his heart. A new chapter of his life had begun, and Ethan knew he would live with the beautiful memories of Liana, but not let the past haunt him.